Welcome back to Perfection Hangover. I am glad you're here today because today I'm going to talk to the woman who has been told her whole entire life that she is too much to handle, too intense, too emotional, too driven, all over the place. Yeah, if that's you, the woman in midlife who's carrying a career, a home, kids or stepkids, aging parents, friendships, maybe a partner who secretly likes that she gets things done, but also sometimes tells her that she's doing too much. If that's you, this episode is for you. Now, I want you to think back for just a minute. When was the first time that you remember hearing that you were too much? Maybe it wasn't those exact words, but it was the message. Maybe it sounded like, calm down. You're so dramatic. You think too much. You can't just let things go. Why can't you just not have an opinion about everything? Maybe you were the little girl who felt big feelings and asked big questions. The one who noticed when something was unfair. The one who wanted more out of life, more out of people, and more out of herself. And instead of someone saying, wow, that's a gift, they said, you are exhausting. I can't keep up with you. So you learn to turn yourself down, not all at once, just a little here and a little there. You laughed a little bit softer. You cried in private or camera off. You stopped asking for help because you've got it. And somewhere along the way, too much became part of the story. Fast forward to right now. You're in your 30s, 40s, maybe 50s. Your life is full. Your plate is overflowing. And too much shows up in less obvious ways now. It looks like being the person who just keeps everything running. You're the one who remembers the appointments, the school emails, the permission slips, the birthdays, the refills for the dog's medication, the thing your boss mentioned once in a meeting. You're the one who notices when the milk is low, when the kids are struggling, when your partner's stressed, when your friend goes quiet. So you jump in, you text, you fix, you plan, you carry. Let me go back to that middle one. You fix. If you are a fixer, this episode is for you. On the outside, people probably say things like, you're amazing. I don't know how you do it all. You're a rock star. We'd be so lost without you. But on the inside, there's this little whisper that says, if I were to stop, everything would fall apart. And underneath that, an even quieter whisper that says, if I stop, will I even still matter? Because somewhere along the way, your worth got tangled up with what you do for everyone else. So here's what I want you to hear very clearly. You are not, in fact, too much. You are a high capacity woman living in a world that is very comfortable letting you carry more than your share. Your ability to see what needs to be done, to anticipate problems, to care deeply, love deeply, give big, and juggle 10 things all at the same time, that's not a flaw, that's a strength. But when strength gets used without boundaries, it starts to feel like a burden. And people around you get used to that version of you who always says yes, who always volunteers and always figures it out. So when you even think about doing less, it feels wrong, selfish, lazy. It feels like pulling one block out of a very tall Jenga tower. What if this block is the one that makes it all collapse? Now let's connect this back to the little girl that you used to be. If you grew up in chaos, you may have learned early on that being too much caused trouble. Too honest about what was happening, you got labeled dramatic. Too sensitive to the tension in the room, you got told to stop being so emotional. Too aware of the grown-up problems, you got sent away or told you're just a kid, stay out of it. So you did two things at once. You shrunk emotionally and you stepped up practically. You learned to read the room. You learned to soothe other people. You learn to get things done so that maybe, just maybe, things would finally start to feel safe. Fast forward to today, and that same pattern's still running. You're the strong one, the capable one, the one that everyone leans on. But when do you get to lean? When do you get to fall apart without feeling like a failure? There's another layer to this that is really deep. When you've been told that you are too much, but people also love how much you get done, you end up chasing praise as proof that you're okay. You might tell yourself that you're just being responsible or doing what needs to be done or doing your part or helping cover the team. But under that is a real craving to hear, thank you. You're amazing. I don't know what we'd do without you. You're the best. Those words feel like oxygen, so you keep doing more. At work, you take on extra projects. At home, you're the one who always stays up late, finishing the thing, cleaning the house, making sure that dinner's ready, making sure that everything is ready, making sure the kids' clothes are set out. In friendships, you're the listener, the problem solver, the planner. You're not selfish. You're not narcissistic. You're just trying to feel safe. Because when people are happy with you, you feel like you're allowed to take up space. And when they're not, that old story comes back. Maybe I really am too much. And if you're too much, the feeling of not being enough creeps in. So when someone says, maybe you're doing too much, it lands in a very confusing way. On one hand, you're exhausted. A part of you would love to do less, to rest, to not be the one holding everything together. But on the other hand, the idea of stepping back terrifies you because your brain tells you, if I stop saying yes, people will be disappointed. If I stop over delivering, I will be replaced. If I slow down, my life's going to fall apart. And if I'm not useful, will anyone still want me? So you stay in this push pull. You dream about a slower, more gentle life. And then you keep living at that pace that makes it feel impossible. So I want to walk through what it looks like to start doing less without blowing up your life. Not a fantasy version, but a real one. You cannot change what you will not name. So I want you to be honest. Where are you carrying more than your share? Is it at work? At home? Is it in your marriage? With your ex? With your kids? With extended family? Where are you saying, I have to do this, when the truth is, I've always done this so no one else has to learn how? That's the case most of the time. And that's not me judging you. That's not judgment on you at all. That's awareness. It's bringing it to light so that you can squash it and change it. Decide what actually matters to you. This is where midlife can be a gift. You've seen enough life now to know that you don't want to spend the next 20 years the way you spent the last 20. So ask yourself, what actually matters to me? What kind of mom, partner, friend, woman do I want to be? What do I want my days to feel like? When you're clear on what matters, it becomes easier to let some things drop. Not because you don't care, not because you're lazy, but because you're choosing what to care about. You're being intentional. So you don't have to start with a giant life overhaul. You just have to start with a tiny no. No, I can't be the default coordinator for every school event. No, I can't answer work emails after a certain time. No, I refuse to respond to this Slack message until first thing in the morning. No, I'm not going to answer the phone at 6:30 a.m. to talk about work. I am not going to host this holiday every single year. At first, these no's will feel selfish and they're going to stir up some guilt, but that's okay. Guilt is just your nervous system responding to a new pattern. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. So, this last step is really hard. Part of why you overfunction is because you manage other people's emotions. You smooth things over, you fix it. You rush in like as quick as you can so no one has to be uncomfortable. But if you're going to do less, you have to let other people feel what they feel. They might be annoyed that you didn't volunteer. They might be surprised that you're not available the way you used to be. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It means the system is shifting. And most systems complain when you stop over functioning. If you take things off your plate and don't fill that space with anything meaningful, you'll be tempted to pile everything back on. So think about what you want to feel more of: more rested, more present, more playful, more connected, more creative, more peaceful. Then add in tiny moments that give you that feeling: a quiet walk without your phone, coffee alone without multitasking, 10 minutes of journaling before everybody wakes up and needs something, laughing with your kids instead of rushing them on to the next thing. These moments send a different message to your nervous system. I matter even when I'm not doing things, even when I'm not performing or producing something. The truth is, you were never too much. I want you to sit in that. You were the girl who noticed more, who felt more, who wanted more. And you grew into the woman who carries so much, and you care a lot, and you hold things together for a lot of people. There is nothing wrong with that, but you deserve a life where you are more than what you do, where you're loved for your presence, not just your performance, where you can sit on the couch for a whole afternoon and not feel like you have to earn oxygen. You're allowed to want a gentler, slower life. You're allowed to not want to be the strong one every single day. And you're allowed to disappoint people a little bit in order to stop abandoning yourself a lot. If this episode stirred something in you, I hope that you'll take one tiny step toward doing less today. Say one small no. Let one ball drop that doesn't actually matter. Do one thing simply because it feels good, not because it's productive. You are not too much. You are just finally learning how to be enough for yourself. If you love this episode, I would love if you'd share it with a friend and subscribe to whatever platform you are on. This app has such a great way to connect with people, and that's the goal of this. I want you to read more, listen more, connect more, and I'll meet you back here in the next episode.